Are you tired of taking pictures that lack impact and emotion? Want to learn the secrets of composition to elevate your photography game? Keep watching and discover the power of composition in photography. Learn how to create visually stunning images that will leave a lasting impression on your viewers. Today we are going to talk about 3 fundamental composition tips which are so important when it comes to creating visually pleasing images, because all professional photographers are making use of them, and you should too. We have already covered what is meant by composition in the previous video. However, if you wish to brush up on what is meant by composition and how it helps to improve your photographs, a video is being suggested to you at the moment. Tap that, go watch that video, understand what is meant by composition, and then come back to this video. I suggest that because I want you guys to learn faster, better, and in an efficient way, comfortable for everyone to follow along. A quote which sums this up is, "Half knowledge is worse than ignorance." Before we get into the 3 main things you should do to improve your photography, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because this will help the channel grow and reach many different viewers who actually wish to make a living doing photography. Alright, here are the 3 tips on composition which will help you amplify your photography style to new levels. Tip number 1. Use the golden ratio. The golden ratio, also known as the divine proportion, is a mathematical ratio that can be found in many natural and man-made structures and is considered to be aesthetically pleasing to the human eye. The ratio is approximately the number which is being displayed on your screen and can be used to determine the most visually pleasing placements of elements in an image. The golden ratio can be visualized as a spiral with the most visually pleasing points of an image lying on the spiral. To use a golden ratio in your photography, you can either use a tool such as the golden ratio overlay in your camera's viewfinder or in some photo editing software, or you can use the rule of thirds and place the main subject on the focal point at the intersection of the spiral. When using the golden ratio, it's important to keep in mind that it's not a hard and fast rule, but rather a guideline to use as a starting point. The key is to experiment with different compositions and see what works best for the particular image. For example, in a landscape photograph, you can use the golden ratio to place the horizon along the spiral, creating a more visually pleasing composition. In a portrait, however, you can place the subject's eyes along the spiral to create a more dynamic composition. In conclusion, the golden ratio is a powerful composition technique that can be used to create visually pleasing images. By understanding the golden ratio and experimenting with different compositions, you can take your photography to the next level and create images that stand out from the crowd. Remember, the golden ratio is just a guideline. Don't be afraid to experiment and find what works best for you. Let's move on to the second tip of the day. Let's call this layering. Creating depth in an image is an essential aspect of composition, and it can be achieved by using foreground, midground, and background. The foreground is the area of the image that is closest to the viewer or the camera. The midground is the area in the middle, and the background is the area that is farthest from the viewer or the camera. When composing an image, it's important to think about how these 3 elements can be used to create a sense of depth and movement within the image. By including elements in the foreground, the image becomes more dynamic and interesting as the viewer's eye is drawn into the image. The midground is the area of the image where the main subject is usually placed. It's the main focal point of the image. And the background can be used to provide context and to create a sense of depth and distance in the image. For example, in a landscape photograph, you can use the foreground to create a sense of depth by using elements such as rocks or flowers. The midground to place the main subject such as the mountain, and the background to provide context and create a sense of distance. In a portrait, the foreground can be used to frame the subject, the midground to place the subject, and the background to provide context and create a sense of depth. It's important to note that when creating depth with foreground, midground, and background, the key is to find the right balance for each particular image. Experiment with different compositions and see what works best for the particular image. In conclusion, using foreground, midground, and background is a powerful composition technique that can be used to create a sense of depth and movement within an image. By understanding how to use these elements and experimenting with different compositions, you can take your photography to the next level and create visually stunning images that stand out from the crowd. Moving on to the third and most underrated tip on composition. Using negative space or negative space. Negative space is the area around and between the main subjects of an image. It's the space that surrounds the main subject and is often overlooked, but it's an essential part of the composition. By using negative space, you can create a sense of balance and harmony in an image and can also draw attention to the main subject. Negative space can be used in different types of photography, such as portrait, landscape, or still life. For example, in a portrait, you can use negative space to create a sense of simplicity and focus on the subject. By placing the subject off-center and leaving a lot of negative space around it, this creates a sense of tension and can add a lot of visual interest to the image. In a landscape photograph, you can use negative image to create a sense of depth and distance by using a lot of sky or water in the image. This can also create a sense of serenity and tranquility in the image. In still life photography, you can use negative space to create a sense of simplicity and focus on the main subject by placing the subject in the middle of the frame and leaving a lot of negative space around it. In conclusion, understanding the use of negative space is a powerful composition technique that can be used to create a sense of balance and harmony in an image and can also draw attention to the main subject. By using negative space, you can create a sense of simplicity and focus around the main subject, a sense of depth and distance, and a sense of serenity and tranquility in your images by using negative space alone. We hope you enjoyed this series on composition in photography and found it informative and helpful. Remember, the key to great composition is experimentation, so don't be afraid to try different techniques and find out what works best for you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more photography tips and tricks. And as always, keep practicing and experimenting with different composition techniques to improve your photography skills. We hope you enjoy the photography journey and remember to keep your eyes open to the world around you. And always be on the lookout for new ways to improve your photography skills. Let me know how you are going through right now as of this moment after watching this video. Tag me in your photographs. Thank you and happy shooting. I'll catch you guys in the next video.